You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, like Spotify or iTunes or Google Podcasts or Amazon Music, like we're on everything. But whatever platform you're on, if they have the ability to give us a 5-star review, please give us a 5-star review and actually write out why you like the show. And every week I ask you guys to leave a comment on YouTube. So if you're watching this part, the intro, just comment the word comment and, hit that like button. Smash that like button. Isn't that what they say? That's what the kids say these days. Oh, man. All right. This week, I have a really fun guest. This guy reached out to me on, I think he reached out to me on Instagram, if I remember right. But he's got a pretty substantial TikTok following. I think way bigger than mine. It could be too that I got banned last year. So I think if you added up what I had then and what I have now, maybe it would be on equal terms. But right now he's up there. He goes by Rudy A, and his TikTok handle is Rudy A Official. And he's the host of the Gen X podcast, of which I was a guest. We actually recorded this episode before his episode, but his episode dropped before mine because I always record these and put them in the can and schedule them out. So at the time of recording this intro, my episode on his show dropped. So go back and check that out. It's actually a pretty good one. If I do say so myself. And, but yeah, man, Rudy and I talk about all sorts of stuff. He's divorced just like me. His divorce story is very similar to mine. He did step out on his wife, which he totally regrets now, but he talks a little bit about that. His hair was thinning, much like mine. But instead of just shaving it like I did, he actually had hair transplants. So we talk a little bit about what guys can do when they're thinning and going bald, like what their options are. So it's a fun conversation, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So stick around. I will bring you that conversation right after these words. Hey guys, real quick, the sponsor this week is Duke Cannon. You see this right here? It's their liquid proper cologne. And I've been using this for a couple of years now, and I have yet to find a woman that doesn't love it. It's really inexpensive and make you smell manly as hell. They don't have as many options as they used to, but right now I currently have one for every day of the week. I'm not kidding. This one right here, Lincoln, is my Friday cologne. My Saturday cologne is called Grant. And together, they get the job done, if you know what I mean. Visit duke.comeonmanpod.com or click the link in the description and you get free shipping on orders over $25. Clicking the link says that I sent you and you get free shipping. Win-win. You can't beat that, guys. I would call this liquid panty dropper, but I don't think Duke Cannon wants me to say that, so I won't. All right, joining me this week is the host of the Gen X podcast and a man with a substantial TikTok following where he talks about being divorced, life advice, and coaching. That sounds familiar. His name is Rudy A. We'll just call him Rudy today. What's going on, Rudy?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out, man. So I went through a bunch of your TikToks, doing some homework, and I'm sure it's a long story, but so feel free to give us like the Cliff's notes. But
sure.
But you're divorced. Can you tell us your divorce story?
Oh God. Well, I married my high school sweetheart, and I got married at 21, which is pretty stupid. I don't know.
Dude, I got married at 20.
So, hey, we made the same mistake. Yeah. So.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So we were married 16 years, and it just became a thing where we grew apart. Mm-hmm. We became different people. And as much as we tried therapy and counseling, one thing I've always said about counseling is that you can go to counseling. You can say, hey, we went to counseling, but if you don't implement what they're teaching you at home and just repeating the same behaviors, you're just going to end up in the same situation. So The other bad thing is that I did have an affair back in 2018 within like 8 years of the marriage, and it ate me up inside.
Yeah.
So I confessed, and I told her, look, I made a mistake, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make it up to you. So I tried from 2008 to 2016 to make things work. And we can never get past that. Plus there are other items that came about, but I'm the one who finally asked, like, look, I can't do this anymore. I want to file for divorce. So I was one of the small percentage of men who file and requested it, but it was for the best because we have a great co-parenting relationship. I didn't leave her for another woman, and she didn't leave me for another man. It was a mutual decision, and she's remarried, and we all get along great. So it was honestly one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah. What made you step out in the first place?
As far as cheating?
Yeah.
That's a long story, but it was really a point where I kept asking and, hey, let's do it. As a husband after a long day at work, you just want to do it and being told no. And at that point I was getting frustrated because I'm loyal, and, fast forward 2 years of that, and it's not consistent. It's maybe once or twice a month. And here I am in my late 20s, just aggravated and just ready to do something. So then I deviate like every other guy and go to the restroom with their cell phone. And I'm in there 45 minutes to an hour. So, and it was like that for another year. And it just became like, I became lonely because at that point she was saying a lot of things to me. Again, I wasn't the perfect husband. I've admitted that plenty of times on my TikTok.
Oh, sure.
But it was a lot of things like I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel like I was getting attention. I felt like an idiot because anything I did at the house was never the right way or her way. Everything I did was stupid or wrong. Anytime I was helping with the chores, she says, no, you're doing it wrong. Just get out of here. I'll do it myself. I just felt like an idiot and like unappreciated at home when I felt I was being a great husband. And after years of doing that, man, I started getting attention from younger females because I started losing weight, and I fought temptation as long as I could for about a year. But ultimately, I just gave in. I couldn't help myself. So finally I did it.
Got it.
But it's years. It wasn't just like an overnight decision or getting drunk and, making a dumb decision.
You said it was about halfway through, right?
Yeah. It took a long time for me to convince myself to do it because, again, I was trying to validate this bad decision.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most people do that, right? That when they're cheating, they'll justify it somehow.
Yeah.
And then they do it and then they feel like shit, or they don't. I don't know. It depends on the person, I guess. Now you have a series on TikTok about what you learned about divorce. So what's the biggest thing that you've learned from divorce?
Great question. There's several lessons, but for me, the biggest lesson was just taking accountability in my own decisions. I recognize because when things were going bad and I know couples counseling wasn't working out, I decided to go to therapy on my own. And again, it really helped me recognize the asshole that I was from time to time. So just looking back and knowing how I messed up, but how I arrived to that decision, it really helped get clarity and learning how to take accountability for all my decisions, including going into the dating world. Whenever I had my heart broken or was a simp in some cases, I look back, okay, I could hate her. I can blame her, but let me go back. Did I make any exceptions or break any of my rules because she had a nice ass and tits? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I curse on your show?
Oh, please do. Yeah.
I look back and I take accountability for the mistakes I made. So that's really the biggest decision I learned, and also how much I can take, because as far as going through something horrible like a divorce can be and going through it alone, it just made me a whole lot stronger to appreciate the small things, but also, like I said, take accountability.
Yeah. I think a lot of men could do with some introspection like that. When a relationship fails, there's a lot of finger pointing. Especially in the men's space. A lot of guys are, women ain't shit and women are cheaters. And it's like, what did you do wrong though, bro? Like you can't change women. You can only change yourself. You can only make yourself better. And I know for a fact, like when I was married, and I was married for 14 years, got married too young. After like, year 7, just miserable pretty much.
What led to your divorce? Or like after year 7, what happened? You guys grew apart like we did or something else?
I just totally grew apart. I never cheated on her. No judgment there, but like that didn't happen. But I got to the point where I didn't want to be in the same room with her though. Like I know that I did not like that woman, and so I would much rather go sleep on the couch. I set up a cot one time and I had an office and I set up a cot in the office and I would just go sleep in there because I didn't want to be in the same room with her, and, but I was raised, with the idea that, you made vows, you got married, like there's no quitting. Right. And, my parents are still together. They pretty much hate each other, but they're still together. Right. But that's just how marriage is. Right. Yeah. And so I just was like, I was just going to stick it out no matter what. And I she just had enough. She was, she's a tactician. So she was like, you know what, we should move back to Colorado. That's where we're at now. We should move back to Colorado to be closer to family. I'm like, yeah, good idea. And so we move out here, and what she was doing, she was planning this whole thing for a while and waiting for the Colorado was getting ready to implement a new alimony law. She was playing chess. She was like 5 moves ahead of you. She was. I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea. Like, because we had been miserable for so long that it was just like that, Oh God. And then just one day she took the kids, ran to Denver, calls me in Denver. Like, I live on the western side of the state, so that's like 5 hours from me. So she calls me. She goes to Denver to visit her sister. She calls me from Denver. She's like, by the way, I filed for divorce on the way out of town. I have the kids. I'm not coming back. I'm like, what? Over the phone. Over the phone. Oh man, that sucks. And then, so after that though, after convincing her to come back, figuring out a parenting plan, ended up getting 50-50. She wanted full custody. Once we got all that stuff worked out, things have been okay. That's good. Every couple of years she takes me back to court because she wants more money or whatever. But other than that, it's, I feel like our divorce wasn't as bad as some guys. Like, some people, like in the comments section, they get destroyed, just been absolutely wrecked by some of these women out there. And it's just like, wow. So that being said, that horror story. And your divorce wasn't that bad, but no, not at all. Would you ever get married again? It's funny because when I started TikTok, I kept saying hell no and never. Okay. But as the months have gone by, I'm open to it. I've met a wonderful woman. We've been dating for 2 years, and I thought, like any other guy, because again, after my divorce in 2016, I was a professional man whore for quite some time and had my fun and dove into that toxic dating pool. My man. And, God, I caught up for 16 years of just horrible sex. So I did my thing. And I thought I had my girlfriend pegged. Oh, she's just this and that. I'll figure her out. She's proven me wrong over everything and proved to me that I don't know jack about all women. Some I do, but not all. So she's a wonderful woman, and she's the opposite of everything I've ever encountered, which took me a long time to get used to. I was so toxic. I was trying to self-sabotage it because I knew she was too good for me. I felt I didn't deserve it because I was so used to 3-month relationships in the toxic world, it imploding and then moving on to the next person. Here she stuck with me. She goes, no, I love you. And I'm like, what? This is so different. So I am saying officially that I am open to it now. I'm not going to do it right away. She knows I'm very, patient and think about things quite often. I have kids, and it's complicated when you get older. It's not as easy when you're young. So I'm open to it, definitely. Yeah. Have you heard of Dr. Robert Glover? I have not. You have not? Okay. You should check out. He's written some books. One of them is, if you ask any guy in the space, right, is like a life-changing book. I've read it a couple of times. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. He used to be a marriage counselor. He was a marriage counselor for years, and I think he's on his third wife now, though. Whoa. Okay. But third time's a charm. But after this, after he was married and divorced the second time is when he went looking for answers. Right. And, that's where he ended up coming up with his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I guess I had him on the podcast, so I asked him all this shit, but he said that after that second divorce, he was like, I'm never doing it again. There's no way, no one hell I'll do it again. And then he met his current wife, and like, it's funny. Guys, And I'm not saying you shouldn't get married. I'm not saying you shouldn't get married. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think there's a benefit for men to at least get the government involved, right?
Yeah. I would agree with that, especially with the divorce side. That does need to be revisited. I don't think anybody should be crippled financially for their life, after a divorce. They got to revisit those rules.
Yeah. But like, I'm all about relationships, right? And I've been dating one woman for the last year. She's great, treats me great,
Awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, it's funny. I feel like a lot of guys will be like, yeah, not doing it again. But then they'll eventually justify it and go, yeah, I think she might be the one,
For me, when I was saying never, I had like a realization not too long ago. I was in my garage. I saw this box all tattered and just torn apart. I'm like, what's in that box? And I looked in it, and it was pictures of my kids, baseball first birthdays that were packed up from the first house I had to move out of. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I had these pictures. So I started putting them in a plastic bin, putting them away. And all this pain of having to pack all my belongings from my first house just started resurfacing again. Like, oh my God, I haven't felt this in over 7 years. And it kind of made me realize that when I was saying never about marriage, it was because I never wanted to experience that again. It was kind of like not the fear of marriage, is the fear of it failing, and then that pain, because I never want to go through that again. You've been divorced. You know how painful that experience is. I don't wish it on my worst enemy at all. So I think for me, when I was saying never, it was deep down, I was scared to possibly have it fail and go through that pain.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, when you talk about pain, like what was painful about it exactly? Because I know you also had a TikTok where you showed a picture of you at like just your lowest moment. I think it was at some kind of party or a reception or something. And you were like, it was that moment that you realized it was over or something, right?
Right.
Was the pain because you like the whole thing failed, or like, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What?
No, it's fine. That one was one of my first viral videos. It's like at 3.5 million, I think. And that really blew up for me. But it was a photo that I was at a high school reunion, and me and the wife weren't doing well. And I felt that everybody knew about us. Somebody was gossipy because, I confided into friends back then, and I know better than to do that now. But, people talk regardless of who you think they are. And if you trust them, people talk. So we went to this party, and I just felt everybody knew how bad we were. And I felt very uncomfortable. And I told her, look, I'm not feeling too good here. Can we leave? And she looked at me, no, I want to have a good time. You go home. I'm going to go to the after party with everybody. And that broke my heart because she's supposed to be my wife and, my right side. And at that point, I felt like I had nobody. So there I am, just all like a Picasso painting, just depressed on this chair. And someone took a photo of me and said, hey, are you okay? And I replied, no, I'm not. I don't care if everybody's looking. So it was that moment where I knew I had to move on. Like because I still loved my wife at that point. And I fought as much as I could, exhausted every option that I could to make it work. And I knew at that point it was over. So it was a pain of like, I hadn't realized that I wasn't, everybody feels like they're a failure at the end of a divorce.
Yeah.
And I let my kids down. This is the house they were supposed to grow up in and all these other things. And now you're selling it. So I felt like a failure in that period. So after going to therapy, I realized I wasn't, but I just felt very low at that point. So that's the photo. But again, in my opinion, I look back at it now, it's the start of a new life. And I smile when I look at that photo. As despicable as it looks.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Because I was thinking about that when you were saying that you felt pain, and I was like, did I feel pain? Because it's been years now, and I was like, I did actually. I felt pain, not like I felt like a tremendous weight had lifted off my chest, right? Because we weren't happy for a long time, and I was never going to throw in the towel. But the fact that she's the one that ended it, it was just like, oh. Like I have no choice in the matter, right? Great. Now I'm free. But at the same time, I felt like a failure. Like both my grandparents never got divorced. My parents never got divorced. Like that's just not something my family did. A lot of my aunts and uncles have all been like married and divorced and stuff like that, but not my family, like not my immediate family. And
you didn't want to be the first.
Yep. And here I am setting records. Yeah. So yeah, it's a interesting perspective on that.
But I will say, I think people who get divorced get a bad rap because I think people who go through it are the bravest people out there because you're going into the unknown versus what you're unhappy in. Because some people, like they say, divorce is not an option. They'll choose to stay in a circumstance where they're just not happy and just make amends with that. Mm-hmm. And for those who choose to start over and go out there, it's the most terrifying decision one can make. So I applaud them. It takes a lot of bravery to do that.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know. It's funny too, though, because I also get the people in the comments that, they'll disagree with me on, whatever thing that I put my, whatever topic the video is about. And they'll be like, well, I've been married 31 years and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but are you guys still having like crazy monkey sex? Probably not. You guys are probably just like the bestest of friends, roommates. Maybe you guys have sex every 3 months or something like that. Like, get out of here. Like, you guys aren't happy, Yeah,
I get that too. And it's like, I always ask him, I have a theory on that and I'm still working on it, but everybody who's been married 30, 40 years, they always met at 19 or 20. And I'm a huge advocate of people shouldn't get married until at least 28, 29, because I feel all these social norms of having to get married right after college is bullshit. I mean, for people, they need to invest time in themselves. I mean, you're a kid, you go to college, go be you, discover who you are, what your passions are, find your identity before getting married to somebody. And then the couple, you and Miss Wife, that's your identity. I think you're cheating yourself and robbing yourself of an opportunity to really uncover who you are and what you've been put on this earth to do. And I think that's what happened with my marriage. We grew apart. We became different people. Mm-hmm. And if we had waited, we would have never gotten married. So for those people who got married very young, like you said, I mean, you painted your world into this little box and that's all you've known. So of course you're happy, but do you feel cheated? You've never slept with another woman. You've never kissed another woman. I mean, do you not have options? I mean, I don't know. I just feel that people who get married that young and stay 30, 40 years together, are you happy? Because a lot of couples that I know who've been married that long, they're sleeping in different rooms.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. They hate each other, and they're cheating on each other, but no one talks about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, absolutely. I mean, so my situation, I was always that, we'll talk. I want to talk to you about this a little bit later too, about like the idea of like red pill and blue pill and stuff like that. Right. And I was a total blue pill guy. I was always rushing for that white picket fence. So every girl I dated, even like, lost my virginity in high school, right? I thought I was going to marry those girls, right? Yeah. That didn't work out. Okay, next one, the next one, like they call it dating with sniper mentality. Just put all my time and energy on this one chick, and she's the one. She's definitely the one. And so I had a slew of flings and stuff before I got married. But my goal was always like, I want to have kids. I want to have that white picket fence. Mm-hmm. So of course as soon as I found a live one that, ended up getting married way too young. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you said, like you just really haven't experienced life yet. Plus there's a really great book by a guy named Rollo Tomasi. He wrote a book called Preventive Medicine. It's like the second book in his Rational Male series. And he lays out just, based on, lots of studies and observations and stuff like that, there's basically a timeline of phases that women go through. Okay. And women, in their 18 to 30, they're sort of in like a party phase, and so a lot of times guys will get married super young and then their wives will step out and stuff because they're still in that mental party phase.
Girls' night, ladies' night. Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of like guys kind of are too, and I feel like guys also don't have a lot of value in their 20s because they're not established in their careers yet. They're still going to school. So a lot of chicks in their 20s, are dating older guys anyway.
Right.
Like guys really should, if they really want to get married, they, like you said, should wait until their 30s when they're established. And then by that time, chicks in their late 20s are sort of getting out of their party phase. They're getting ready to go into what he calls their epiphany phase. Mm-hmm. And they're ready to settle down too. It's like, now you're both ready.
Yeah. that correlates. Everyone kind of lives their life and just meets in the middle, like when their 30s start. So that does make sense. I got to read that book. So if you can send it to me after the show, a link to that, sure. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your podcast for a little bit.
Sure.
How long? You said you've been doing it for just under a year?
Yeah, we started last June. It's a jumping point from my TikTok content, which is really divorce, dating stories, dating tips, life advice, all the mistakes I did. So learn from my mistakes because I was an idiot when I was younger. So it's really that. And it's with my co-host, Eric, who I've known my entire life since high school. He was married 18 years. I was married 16 years. We both got married at 21. So we've been there, done that. We're parents. We have daughters. Ooh, excuse me 1 second. Sorry. That was my Metal Gear Solid thing. We're both parents. We've done everything. So we're just sharing stories of life experience. Like, don't do this. This is what happens. And we're both advocates and we have the same type of a message. So I have them on, and that's what the podcast is just sharing stories. And so people can learn from it just to improve marriages and improve self-love.
Got it. Okay. So it's just the two of you guys.
Yeah. We sometimes have like guests on the show. You know, we'd love to have you one day, maybe. So
yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think that like my audience can learn from listening to your podcast?
Well, if they're young, I definitely would advise them listening to them because again, we're older men. We've made tons of mistakes and we've seen everything. I've cheated on my wife. His wife cheated on him. He's gone through domestic abuse from the male side. He just shared a powerful story on our most recent podcast. So, you know, we've seen everything. And what we preach, again, we're Gen Xers. So we never blamed anybody for our mistakes. Anywhere we arrive in life or in business, anywhere we take accountability. We always look back with whatever happens in life. If the relationship ends, something doesn't end right. I always look back and, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I learn from this? And if anything, the younger generations need to watch the show to learn how to take accountability and learn from the mistakes and looking in the mirror sometimes and saying, yes, I am the fuck up. I'm the one who messed up. I'm the asshole. That can be really hard for some people. So, you know, again, stories, experiences, and just, I always have women, like I want to have more men on the show, but I want guys to learn from the female perspective. Women are not the enemy, in my opinion. I think there's opportunities on both sides. No one's an angel. I just think we just need to communicate clearly more and understand perspectives. And that's another thing, perspective. That's how we grow as people and that's how we learn. We put ourselves in the other person's shoe and see where they're coming from. That's what they can learn from the show. Yeah,
that makes sense. I was going to ask you, so your co-host, what's his name? Eric, you said?
Eric.
Okay. So Eric, he experienced abuse from his wife?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Have you guys talked a lot about the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing?
Or this episode this week that just posted, episode 41, it was really dedicated to him because the whole case, as ridiculous as it is, and I hope Johnny gets his justice. Eric said, hey, man, that reminds me a lot about my marriage. And I'm like, I knew it was bad. I never liked her because as soon as he met her, he disappeared. She just took him away from his family and his friends. And I never saw him as much as I should have. Yeah. So he shared a lot in the podcast about how she almost killed him a couple of times by hitting him over the head with like a candlestick, some other things. So it's heartbreaking. And I was really emotional during the show, like getting angry because anybody I know and love, and I hear them going through that, they shouldn't go through that. But yeah, he definitely experienced that. And I know it's kind of rare to hear on the male side, but he was brave enough to share with it. And I think it gives everybody perspective on how he thought and what he felt and why he felt he didn't deserve to call the police or he shouldn't call the police and report it. So it's an interesting topic.
It's crazy. You hear a lot of guys say, you even hear cops say it.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're getting hit by your wife and you call the cops and like things are all broken up around here, like the cops are going to take the dude away.
Yep.
9 times out of 10. Like,
yeah,
it's like, so guys just sort of keep their mouth shut and just take it.
Yeah. You know? And it's funny because I have friends who are police officers as well. And I asked them, you know, with the whole Amber Heard case, how they've been, these friends of mine have been on the force 25 years. And I asked them, how often does it happen where you go and it's the wife who's saying these accusations and it turns out to be false? And shockingly, they said most of the time. And this is female officers and male officers telling me this. And they said, if it wasn't for video cameras inside the house, a lot of men would be in prison. Yeah. Because they go to a call, they'll see the woman, of course, beat up. And of course, they'll just go and handcuff the man. But when they go look at the video camera, they saw this woman in this one story. She's just running in place, yelling at him. She starts pulling her hair out. and scratching herself. And she touches him with the hair in her hands, starts touching him so he can get the hair on his body. And she ran face first into the drywall to break her nose.
Wow.
And she told the police that he was the one who assaulted her. So if it wasn't for those cameras, this man would probably be in prison. Because who's gonna believe a man? That's another social norm that I can't stand, is like, who's gonna believe a man? A lot of women know that, and they'll play that like Amber Heard did. And that's just wrong. It's
so funny. There's guys that'll hear this interaction and they'll be like, yeah, see, women ain't shit. You know, like women are, they're so I don't know, deceptive, and they do all this stuff. It's like, guys, there's shitty women out there. There's really great women out there too.
Yes.
Just stop, you know.
You can't generalize the actions of one person with a whole gender, you know, like, come on, man.
Yeah. How many how many women have you actually met that have done crazy stuff like that? Because I haven't met any that I know of anyway.
Myself?
Like personally, like in real life.
No, I had a toxic ex, but she was never abusive. Nothing like that. No way. No, or do anything like that. No. Luckily,
that would run face first into a wall to break.
Can you believe that?
That's nuts.
I'm glad that video, man, that was there for the protect that guy. But luckily, I'm pretty selective in who I allow in my inner circle, especially when I was dating. My friends would always give me shit like, "Why are you so picky?" I'm like, "Well, I'm picky. I have standards." So I was very selective in who I dated and brought back home.
Yeah, as everyone should.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest problems that men and women make, is they're just shitty pickers. Like no one likes being on the dating circuit. It's so terrible. So they rush into the next relationship so that they don't have to be on the dating circuit anymore.
Yep.
And then they end up with the wrong person. And then they're like, what, how'd this happen?
Well, rushed into it.
You didn't take your time to filter people out. Like, are you for real? Anyway,
that's one thing that shocked me when I started dating. Cause again, 2016 is when I became the man whore, right? And I hadn't dated since 1994. So here I am. It's a totally different world. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked, but every woman I dated, and even some guys that I talked to, everybody was scared to be alone. They hated being alone. That's why they were on these dating apps. And I'm like, that's not a good reason to date, you know?
Yeah.
That's really not good. You need to be happy with where your life is at. Here I am preaching these things, and they're like, no. So a lot of people are afraid to be alone.
Yeah. You just did a video about Jerry Maguire and how that hasn't aged well. It's just, and I was watching that, I go, I never thought about it that way, but you're right. He, at the end, proposes to this girl because he can't be alone.
Yeah. She's leaving to San Diego for that job. And he's like, what if we get married? Is that a proposal? Like, well, let's get married. It's like, this motherfucker. Like, it's just funny how you just let movies, you go back and revisit some comedies and they're just horrible. Oh, completely horrible.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll get to this, but that's sort of the concept too of the red pill, blue pill, right? Like we're all raised with these movies. We're all raised with these concepts of what love is, like what dating means, what courtship means,
right?
Women love flowers and stuff, and you're supposed to put them on pedestals, and it's like,
the Hollywood idea of romance.
The Hollywood idea of romance is just not accurate. You know,
I agree.
Let's change gears a little bit here. You did a video the other day talking about your hair transplant.
Yeah.
And I have another friend that just did it. My hairline started receding pretty noticeably in the last year or two. So this year I finally just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to own it. I'm just going to own it. I'm going to shave it. Right.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go the hair transplant route?
Oh, I just didn't like how I looked in the video. I think I shared a clip of me and my girlfriend doing like a Evil Dead commentary, and I just did not like the way I looked. And before all this TikTok dating coach thing happened, I was doing movie reviews. I was on camera. I've been on camera since 2016, just doing the crappy movie reviews. And I just didn't like the way I looked. And I was going to shave my head just like you did. Think just own it. Why not? Women love bald guys. But I just went and got a consultation. And I'm like, you know what? This is something I want to try out because I love my hair. I truthfully do. I feel like it's my persona. Even when I was a kid, I used to do the Christopher Reeve curl, you know, because I thought I was Superman, hence the Superman tattoos. I was like always doing something with my hair.
Okay.
And I just decided to make that decision. But you know, the funny thing is I was actually like, no, I shouldn't, because men don't get surgeries. Women do. And I'm like, why am I feeling that way? It should be more accepted for men to, you know, pursue these type of things. If they want to, why not? Yeah. Women get surgery all the time. BBLs, you know, mommy tucks, breast implants.
Yeah.
Guys, why is it not socially accepted for us to do that? And I remember having that kind of conflict internally, and I just decided to do it.
Okay. Yeah. I actually think guys should, if it's going to make you feel better, give you more confidence, like fucking do it. You know, like there's that Dr. Robert Glover, he has a book called Dating Essentials for Men. He talked about how he went down to Mexico, made a whole trip of it, and got veneers put in because he was never happy with his teeth. Yeah. I'm like, great.
Good good for him.
Yeah. Not like, that gave you more confidence. Perfect. Yeah. There's a couple of books I've read. They've talked about, you know, what to do when guys start, you know, losing their hair and stuff. Yeah. So some other options are toupee, Rogaine. What's your take on those options?
Well, with the surgery, keep in mind, you still have to be on Rogaine. You still have to take, you have to take it all the time. And there's a drug they prescribe to you called finasteride, which is a testosterone blocker. I actually had to get off it because during my research, I found out, I studied that this could potentially impact your libido and your sex drive, because what causes hair to go away? It's testosterone. So this pill you would take, it blocked it to keep the hair that you had. Mm-hmm. But I noticed 3 months in after the surgery, I'm taking Rogaine and I'm taking this pill. I had zero sex drive, and I have a hot damn girlfriend, and you know, who dresses up for me. All these things. We have a very fun. I have a pole in my bedroom, dude. That's how kinky we are. And I had no thanks. I had zero sex drive, dude. I didn't think about it. I was just out of it. And I went to the doctor. I go, look, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm taking. He goes, well, let's test your testosterone levels. And they were really low. He goes, yeah, it's because of this pill. So I decided to stop taking the pill. But the consequence of that is you could potentially lose your hair again. And I'm like, well, I'd rather go bald than feel the way I feel when I have a hot girlfriend next to me in bed. Yeah. So I stopped taking it. And they say it's a 2% chance, but I guess I met that 2% because it killed it for me. Yeah. And after 3 months of stop taking it, I came back. So it's weird. So that's the one con that I would like everybody to be aware of, is that pill, that finasteride pill.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's that's one of the things that these books talked about. I read 2 books on the Atomic Attraction and Rich Cooper's book, The Unplugged Alpha. They both talked about what to do. And that was the biggest complaint about Rogaine specifically, because they said Rogaine also lowers your T.
Does it?
Yeah.
I've been taking it for years. I've never had
no problem with it. But yeah, they said Rogaine lowers your testosterone. And I was like, well, man, I'm like, the whole purpose of like having nice hair and stuff like that, so you can be attractive and stuff.
Yeah, and go get it. Yeah.
So so like that's why I was like, that's not an option for me. I had no idea that you're supposed to take it with the hair transplant though.
Yeah, it's a combination of both.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And then the idea of a toupee, I'm just like, you know, I'm not a fan of catfishes, you know, and I feel like like that's catfishing for men, you know. It
can be, even though some of them look really good now, like you know, they kind of glue it on your scalp and they comb your hair and cut it with whatever's there, so they look great. But again, personally, I couldn't do that because I'd be too self-conscious of it coming off, and then, you know, eventually it's going to come off whoever I'm dating, and that's going to either make or break it.
I live in a crazy windy area. It's been windy for the whole last month. Like it would blow off. and then I'd be on a date and be like, oh, by the way, I'm not the guy I told you I was. So.
You look great bald. You wear it. It looks great on you, man.
Thanks. I mean, you know, I did a test run in December. I was like, you know, I think I'm going to shave it. And I was in the military, so I've always had it short anyway. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to shave it, just see how I like it. I let it grow out again. Just to make sure. And I was like, yep, that hairline sucks.
Time to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, you had a video where you just didn't like it. Right. Well, I've had tons of videos over the last, I don't know, year and a half or so where I don't like it. There's assholes in the comments, you know, and I'm just like, it's time, dude, you know? And people give me shit about the shaved head too. I'm just like, fuck you, man. Like there's no making you happy.
there's always going to be haters out there, man. It's funny how like I'm immune to that now, but it's funny how that the haters always get my attention. I have like hundreds of like nice comments, and that one hater is the one that stands out. I'm like, I feel like responding, but I'm not. So.
Right. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'm just like, all right, I'll just leave that comment. I'm not going to.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
It's not worth it. It's helped me in the algorithm. All right. So I mentioned red pill a couple of times in your message interaction. When we were setting this up, you mentioned that you weren't a red pill guy.
No.
From your perspective, what do you consider red pill?
Well, I can only share with what I know. There's a few red pill guys that have stitched a couple of my videos and called me a blue pill guy, and I'm a chump and beta. I don't, okay. And I laugh at that. I'm like, okay, whatever, kid, sure. But I associate it with hate and a generalization of women, because we've all had our heart broken by a woman, right? Of course. And with that event, we can either hate them or, like I said, revisit the circumstances and see what you can take away and learn from that situation. So I think it's just, again, this could be a generalization. I could be completely off. Yeah. But it's just a lot of guys who've had horrible experiences with women that ended bad, and they've chosen to pursue a life that is really not putting women first, putting their needs first, and putting their lives first. But it's the comments that I hear, like women are low hanging fruit if they're 30 and over. They've been run through by hundreds of dudes, and they're low hanging fruit. Single moms are low hanging fruit. It's those type of red pill guys that I see. Maybe they're the extreme version of red pill, and there's a standard red pill, but it's those guys that I see the most of. And I think they're dumbasses for calling people that way, because you don't know the circumstances of that person's life and how they ended up the way they are. They're just making generalizations. Not every woman in their 30 who is married with one kid is low hanging fruit or been run through by a train by many men. Like, what are you, fucking kid? Like, grow up, man. Come on. That's not the way life works. So it's those type of guys that I don't agree with. No, I don't agree with them either. And I'm in my 40s. I love women in their 30s. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, like women in their 30s are horny as fuck, dude. Like, what? Yes. Especially in the 40s. Yes, right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, those guys are idiots. So I had the same concept, actually. Okay. I started doing this stuff. I was reading. A lot of this podcast started after I read a book by a guy named Corey Wayne. So the 3% man. I know him. Yeah. I read his book too. Yeah. Okay. Oh, 3% brother. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, this whole thing started with that, and there would be guys. So I'm in a group called the 3% Man group on Facebook, and there would be guys that would get in that group somehow, and then they would just dump red pill shit, like Rollo Tomasi's 9 iron rules and women ain't shit because of whatever. And so we would kick those guys out. And so I had a real negative concept of what red pill is, because all these guys are like, oh, I'm red pill. It's like they get the most attraction, and those videos go viral. Yeah, because the negativity really sells, right? So it wasn't until I actually had Rollo Tomasi on the podcast, and then I had a bunch of other guys that are much more prominent in the space, like not just random dudes on TikTok. Like, these guys have written books on it. They have they cite studies and all this stuff. And when you actually talk to those guys and listen to what they say and read their books, you find out that it's not about hating women at all. It's not. Good. Okay. It's more about, let me see if I can put this simply. The red pill is men swapping notes on what women respond to and having that understanding of women for the benefit of men. So when you said they sort of put their needs first, that's true. It's about like understanding what your needs are, making your needs known, because a lot of guys are nice guys. They won't make their needs known. And, they'll go and buy a woman like expensive dinners. And then when she doesn't have sex with them, he's like, pissed off about it. Yeah. It's like, they got a lot to learn. Right. Right. So and then they don't understand why they're not getting what they want. It's like, well, you didn't tell her what you wanted, it's stuff like that. So, but the funny thing about it is, at least from what I found, my experience is that it's not necessarily to benefit women, but when men learn what women respond to, right, women benefit in the end, because guys are doing the things that are necessary to attract women. And then women are happier. It's like, my girlfriend treats me like an absolute king. Same here. And it's like, it's almost effortless, and because you're being yourself. I'm being myself, but I'm also, I'm taking the lead in the relationship, so, and I feel like a lot of guys don't do that either. They're very passive in the relationship, like they'll ask their woman, well, honey, what do you want to eat tonight?
You know, it's like, well, I don't care, honey. Well, I don't care. And then they're mad about it because their women won't make the decision. Well, fuck, dude, just tell her we're going to have steak tonight, honey. You're welcome to join me. You know, like,
yeah, there you go.
And as soon as you start doing that kind of stuff, it's funny because like as soon as I started taking the lead and just making my needs known and being and having boundaries, like having good boundaries.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. It's totally different. Like she relaxes into her feminine. She lets me just.
Isn't it amazing? Doesn't it feel great?
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
For me, it's funny because I think I learned everything through accident because, like I said, being married 16 years and going to therapy and just knowing I tried everything in my marriage and leaving with a clear heart and mind, I was so excited to go into the single world. So I had this rejuvenated energy and I couldn't wait to introduce myself to everybody. I knew what I wanted. I knew I loved my life. I loved my career. I loved my side job, which was YouTube at the time. I had my own thing going.
Yeah.
And I loved who I was. And every woman that I met, I treated them all the same. I never pursued women like you're beautiful, like just constantly went after them. They came to me. Yeah. And I know that sounds incredibly cocky, but I just talked to them like a regular person. I didn't make them feel like a princess. I just talked to them like a person, but it was my energy and my confidence of going up to them and being myself.
But you're saying not putting them on pedestals and stuff like that, not being needy.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we're told like, oh, you got to chase these women and you got to buy them candies and flowers and shit. But when you don't do that, you treat women like, get this, a person.
Yes.
They do. They respond to that.
Yeah.
And they will chase you. Yeah.
And if you're confident and you love who you are and where you're at in life and you don't come off needy, they sense that. They want to be part of your life and they're curious about you. Like, why didn't he hit on me? What's going on? So that's how I really was so successful in the dating world. And I told them all up front, look, I just got divorced and I don't want a serious relationship. I just want to have fun. And they loved honesty. They loved that I was humble about life, honesty and upfront. And even though they may not have liked my answer, like I just want to have fun, they respected that I didn't lie to them. Yeah. And I never lied to anybody to play them or anything like that. I was never that. I was just myself. And the way I saw it is like going up to a woman in a bar, which a lot of women would tell me, oh my God, you guys don't come up to women anymore. The way my mindset was, I just went through the most horrible event anybody can go through, a divorce. Your rejection ain't going to do shit to me. Yeah. Because I've already been through hell. So the worst you can say is no. So I just had this confidence about me and I still do. And that's what's been really successful in my dating career. And then I find out through the 3% Man, all these other things that you have to have that. So I kind of found it by accidents before finding the book. So that's what really worked for me.
So you're a little bit of a natural then.
By accident, through divorce and through all these circumstances happening. But yes, natural, I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So when you were first getting back on the scene after your divorce, you were meeting women in public, cold approach, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And a lot of them were shocked. A lot of them were incredible. Well, the guys don't do that anymore. I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. My name's Rudy. How's it going? And I just started.
That's how we did it in the 90s.
That's how we did it. You had to work it to actually get a number. It's not like on the phone. It's so easy nowadays on the phone. It's so damn easy. I think that's why it's so toxic because you can easily replace somebody right away.
It's like DoorDash.
Yeah. There's no effort in it whatsoever. But again, that's how I had fun. And I was dating sometimes 4 at a time. I had like 2 people coming into my house every week for a period of 2.5 years. So it got crazy, man. So I had my fun.
Yeah. Yeah. My experience was not the same. So when I got divorced, like you said, you'd been off the market for so long, right?
Yeah.
So when I got divorced, I found myself back on the dating circuit. I had no idea how to date anymore.
Right.
And unlike you, I live in the middle of nowhere, right? So there's no place you can go, no nightclubs, nothing like that, where you can meet people organically. There's just none of that. If you go to like the local bars here, there's all just like retirees and like old drunks and shit. There's no women like my age or even younger. They're just not here. And so I had to do dating apps. And so I got on I met like all the dates I went on dating apps, but that first year after I got divorced was just hell. Like I went on a bunch of dates that ended up as first dates only. never went anywhere. I was too scared to make a move. I didn't know, like I was waiting for some kind of written fucking invitation.
Right. Yeah.
And it really didn't click until I rushed into my next relationship, and I was with that gal for like 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And when I broke up with her, I was thinner because I gained a bunch of weight when I first got divorced. I was like 230 pounds or something. Mm-hmm. And so when I broke up with her, I was a lot trimmer. And so it was easy getting dates. And I think it was like first or second date, I had a gal text me after the date because I'm too scared to make a move. Mm-hmm. And she texted me, she goes, I'm really disappointed that you didn't try to kiss me. And I was just like, what? Exactly. Right. I was like, mm-hmm. What? Like, what? I didn't notice any kind of overt signs that she was into me. Mm-hmm. And so after that, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go for a kiss every time if I like her, whether, if I like her, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And it's so funny when I tell guys that, they're just like, what? Like, you don't get assault charges? No, bro. Oh. It's just a kiss. Most chicks, like, if they're not into it, they'll just go like this or whatever.
And plus, there's a vibe, and you feel that you're both on the same level before you do the move. So, yeah, there's all those signs. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and sometimes chicks are just as nervous as you are. So they're not putting out all these like overt body language signs too, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing either, So, so I would just go in. If I liked her, I'd go in for a kiss, and like most of the time, like chicks were into it. Like I said, 99.9%, they were down. Right. Yeah. And then there was like, that small percentage that were just like, oh, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just not going to call you again, but
But to your point, I've always been assertive. Even when I was in sales, I've always been a closer. Okay. And I remember when I would go on dates, if there was a vibe, and by the way, first dates for me, since I was divorced and I went from dual incomes to one, I was working 3 jobs. The first date was always drinks. Yep. And because it's cheap, not cheap, but it's not like dinner, like $300 dinner. So
but if it doesn't work out too, it's over after one drink.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, I don't like talking to people over eating. Like, what if I spit when I'm talking or something like that? Or right. So it was always drinks. And if we hit it off, then dinner was like the next week. Yeah. So I met everybody. And if there was a vibe, if her knee touches my knee or she's smiling at me, I always went in for a kiss on the first date. Always. Yeah. And, of course you read the vibe and be sure it wasn't like assault like these other guys. I didn't do it, with them not looking or anything like that. But I always went in for a kiss. Now. It's so funny. They are. And again, as long as your intentions are fine and the vibe is there, it's okay. And a lot of women were impressed by that. And my assertiveness, even on dating apps, like I asked them, hey, what are you doing Saturday? Oh, I have no plans. I have no plans. Well, guess what? You're meeting me here at 8:00. And
I like that. That's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And oh my God, no guy's ever done that. Like, no, I'm telling you, you're going to be there with me at 8:00. And they love that.
They do.
They absolutely love that. So again, I was just assertive. Yeah. But not overly aggressive, if that makes any sense. There is a difference between the two.
Yeah. I've had, I found telling them like, meet me at this place at this time and having a plan is like, you'll get so many more yeses that way. But and occasionally you'll get some kind of gal that's like, oh, you're just telling me what to do. I'm not doing. I'm like, okay, well then this isn't going to work out, hon. It's like, yeah, it's funny and then I'll get guys argue with me like, oh, you can't tell women to do that. Like, yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
And if they don't want to do it, that's fine. But you're also sort of testing their ability to follow you, because you want to be the leader. Yeah. And if they won't follow, then they're just not the right person for you. And that's okay.
Yeah. And it comes down to like, if they have all these preconceived notions on what women think, I can't do that. They just don't have confidence in themselves yet, because we've all been around people who are uncomfortable in their own skin, and it makes the whole room awkward and you don't want to be around them. So women can sense that too. So before you go dating, guys who are listening, you have to be confident in yourself, love who you are, and know your place in the world. Now, I know that can be difficult for some people, but knowing who you are speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. And women can sense authenticity versus someone faking or playing a role.
Yeah. Oh, that brings up another good point too, because someone asked me today in one of the comments of some video, they're like, hey, can you do a video about how when you approach women, like it's only acceptable if you're some kind of attractive looking guy, because ugly guys, it's not acceptable. And I'm like, but that's stupid. That's a dumb video. I'm never going to do that, because the reason why women are like really turned off by ugly guys, it's not because he's ugly necessarily. It's because he approached in a creepy fashion. Like if he comes up, he's all sweaty, he's nervous. He's like, you're so hot. You know, like she's gonna be like, ew, get away from me.
Yeah.
But if that same guy came up with confidence, even if she said no, she's not gonna be, she's not gonna be a bitch about it.
Yeah. Confidence speaks volumes. Like I said, if they have to be comfortable in their own skin. I mean, put your best foot forward. I mean, if you're single, whatever, items you have that are maybe insecurities, work on them. Like I had horrible teeth when I was in my 30s. So I got Invisalign. Oh. And for me, honestly, like women love a good smile. So when I found that out, it really helped me out. Yeah. Like, oh my God, like a smile can change the energy of the room. So work on any insecurities you have. If you think you're big, go to the gym, whatever the case is. But when you approach anybody, just be comfortable with who you are. Don't play a role. Be yourself. Yeah. Be authentic. And that'll be more successful than, these lines or whatever these dating guys are telling you.
That reminds me too. Like, what do you think about guys that are like, just be yourself, bro? Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. Well, that's what I do. But I know it's kind of tough to say because I'm 45. And like I said, at 39 when I started dating, I had lived a long life. So to tell somebody that in their early 20s, that's kind of difficult. But again, everybody, a woman loves men with drive and purpose. And it doesn't come off needy, right? If you have a side hustle, if you have a YouTube channel, a podcast, something that you love, people love being around people that are passionate about life. Mm-hmm. And, if you're complaining and nagging and playing the victim card, some guys will confuse that for being vulnerable. There's a difference. You can be vulnerable, but have a plan. But if you come off needy and being the victim, that's where it gets a little like a turn-offish sort of scenario. Yeah. But if you're passionate about a job, you love your job or a side hustle, and you have ambition, that's something. Yeah. That's something to start off with. Yeah. I don't like the people that are just like, just be yourself, bro. Just because of this, right? I look at it like, yeah, be yourself if being yourself is getting you the results that you want, right? But if you being yourself is not getting you the results you want, well, something's got to change. Yeah. You got to learn game. You got to learn how to talk to people. You got to learn, stuff like that, Yeah. And I think maybe with sales, like my experience with sales, I was selling sunglasses, I sold cars for a little bit in my life. So I'm always a go up to anybody. So I think if you have any insecurities in talking to women, natural. There you go. I guess that's what it is. I've been doing it since I was 18. But I think if guys maybe just go up to guys, talk to anybody. Like if you have problems with talking to people, just go out and just meet people. It doesn't have to be women. Yeah. Just go up to people and just have a conversation. And then before you know it, apply those principles to women because they're no different. Yeah. Treat everybody the same. Yeah. Yeah. The reason why I say that's why you're natural is because dating is sales. I mean, you're selling yourself. You're legit selling yourself. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like guys that have some kind of experience in sales, whatever, they learn, how to talk to people. Yeah. There's body language, eye contact, there's reading a room. There's a whole bunch of things. Yeah. So it definitely did help. Fear of loss, fear of rejection. And you got to get over that, man. Yeah. Everybody gets told no. I don't care who you are. I did sales for a little bit when I got out of the Navy. I did door-to-door office supply sales. Oh God. How was that? Ooh, brutal. I bet. I actually I ended up, it took me about a month, but I finally got the hang of it. And I actually started doing pretty good at it. But I mean, it was a grind. It was commission only. And so just all day long, start on one block, walk your way, just knocking on every door. Oh man. Trying to sell printer cartridges or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of doors slammed in your face. People are a little less likely to be really rude to you. Like if you're doing telesales, but you'll still get the occasional complete jerk. I've been thrown out of buildings from security for soliciting. But yeah, I mean, you just there are certain psychological sales tactics that you learn doing sales. Like I said, fear of loss was one of them. Mm-hmm. And what was another thing that we would do? We'd say, I just sold a bunch of printers and stuff to your neighbor next door. They bought 5 of them. Everyone wants what everyone else has too. They're like, oh, they did? Well, I'll put an order in, it's there's little tricks like that. But I find
game is the same way, like
it is
dealing with the dating circuit and stuff like that. A lot of those principles, it works too.
It definitely does. Again, I know be yourself is not what we want to say, but just being comfortable in your own skin. Like I said, being humble.
Yeah.
And every first date, I think, like I tell guys on my TikTok page, like, don't go on dates thinking this is the next wife or you're going to hook up that night. Just let the night happen organically, naturally. Just meet her.
Yeah.
Don't have any anticipation, because then you're going to be thinking about what's going on the next couple of hours. Am I going to take her home versus focusing on the moment?
Yep.
Just focus on the moment. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think people just put way too much pressure on themselves or ideas, and they get in their own head before they even meet the person. So
yeah. Oh, and it's so bad too. Before they've even met them, like you said, like on the dating apps, they get into texting and they're falling in love. They're picturing having kids with these people and shit. It's like, you haven't even had a fucking drink with this person yet.
Like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. They get focused on that outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rudy, we're at about an hour here.
Okay.
This conversation has been great, man, but I think we should wrap up. Where can people find you online?
Mainly on TikTok right now. Again, my handle is Rudy A Official. I'm working on a new title, but that's where I'm at. I'm also starting a new YouTube channel just titled Rudy A. It's a lot of my content. I'm just going to bring it in. I'm working on long form videos versus the short form like we have on TikTok, and also on Instagram, all Rudy A or Rudy A Officials where you can find me. Are you
uploading your TikToks to Reels and Shorts as well?
I am doing that. Yeah, it can be a pain sometimes because, again, it seems meticulous, but I am doing that as well. Oh, and of course, the Gen X podcast we just started. We're 41 episodes in. We're in the top 50% of podcasts in the country. So we're doing really good. Our demographic is a lot of women. Even my demographic on my TikTok page is a lot of women. So I'm slowly trying to reach out to men and talk to them more.
Oh, good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I going back to YouTube and Reels and stuff like that. After I got banned, I was like, I need to branch out. I can't just be on TikTok anymore. So I started taking advantage of Reels and Shorts. Mm-hmm. And I found that Shorts really helps you build a following on YouTube. Because YouTube's trying to compete with TikTok, so they push those shorts really well. So
I got to start doing more of those. I was actually banned twice on TikTok for hate speech. I'm like, what? I don't hate anybody. Like, what's going on? And I never got a
ban or just like
it was a permanent ban. And then all of a sudden, I just reached out to as many TikTok handles as I could and told them, look, just watch the video. I don't talk about hate. Yeah. It was a feminist who didn't like what I had to say, and she reported me as hate. And eventually, it got lifted, so I'm back. I've been back since 6 months ago. Okay. Yeah, I've been banned twice, and they got to work on that type of those guidelines, because it's not right to ban a whole platform based on a couple of comments or reports.
Yeah, I tried appealing my original account, and they wouldn't give it back. So I've been slowly building this account back up since June last year, and man, it's been a struggle. So I'm like, I try to color within the lines so I don't upset the feminists. I pre-block a lot of them, like the big ones, like Drew Afualo or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I blocked her as soon as I heard about her and going after guys. I'm like, nope, that's not happening.
Yeah. And in my opinion, it's so irresponsible. There's a lot of female. There's one, Carrie, I forget her name. She stitched one of my videos and called me a misogynist, which I'm not. Yeah. If you just watch 4 of my videos, you'll know I'm not. But I had thousands of women attack me, and some of them were even messaging me my inbox on Instagram saying that they were going to report me as an abusive father and get my kids taken away.
Wow.
It's amazing how, again, I know these creators have a narrative. I don't agree with that, but to call somebody out and know your following can go and have an impact on somebody like this. Luckily I was mature enough to handle that, but somebody else that can really affect them.
Yeah.
So they got to be more careful with that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't, maybe Elon Musk can buy TikTok. We'll see.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. All right, Rudy. Been great talking to you, man. Have a good evening. All right.
You too, Paul. Thanks a lot.
Rudy, thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it. I also really appreciate that you also had me on your show. A lot of times guys will reach out and we'll discuss them coming on the podcast, and I'll suggest doing a guest swap, because that's what I would really prefer to do. Like, if you guys want to come on the podcast and you have your own podcast, like, let's do a guest swap. Okay. So Rudy, thanks for having me on. Every once in a while guys will come on and then they will screw me and won't they don't want me on their podcast for whatever reason. Maybe because I'm an asshole. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm just like a real dickhead. You know what I mean? But that's okay. I own it. Oh man. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next week on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.